I wanted to give a little bit more information on because it was ICE cruelty. And it was the story from last month about the refugee from Myanmar or Burma, the 56-year-old blind guy who was found dead in the snow. And this story, it's just heartbreaking. Your listeners should probably just he had a this guy is 56 years old. He was fully blind in one eye, mostly blind in another, and he used a walking stick. He actually used a curtain rod for a walking stick, but he couldn't move without a walking stick. But he had got arrested last February. He had got lost in the neighborhood and ended up on some lady's porch. And she called the cops. The cops showed up. They're yelling at him to put down his weapon. He doesn't speak English, and they ended up tasering him and taking him into custody. His family decided not to bail him out of jail because they were afraid he would get detained by ICE, even though he was in the country legally. So he sat in the county jail for almost a year until his attorney could reach a plea deal where he would plead guilty to trespassing and possession of a weapon. Again, he was on somebody's porch because he was lost, and the weapon was his walking stick. But if he pled guilty to that, they would let him out without handing him over to the ICE facility. So he gets out of jail. Border Patrol picks him up, but instead of taking him to his home, they release him into at night 5 miles from his house in Buffalo, New York, where I don't know what the temperature was below zero, but they dropped him off without his walking stick at night, 5 miles from a home. They didn't notify his family or his attorney where they had dropped him. And the only shoes he had were the orange booties, like the kind of those paper cloth issued prison shoes. So he was just missing for several days and was found dead outside the Buffalo Sabres hockey arena 3 days later. And it's just, I mean, he shouldn't have been there in the first place, but it's almost, I struggle to find any words to describe the malice and the cruelty. That wasn't a series of unfortunate events. That was planned cruelty to an immigrant of color who couldn't see, couldn't speak the language. Just imagining the confusion and the terror that they put him through. It breaks your heart. It's maddening. It's infuriating.
And when people begin to notice the extended wait times at airports in the coming months, and they have begun to creep up significantly because there are shortages of TSA employees, because they haven't been paid, because the Department of Homeland Security has not been funded. There's a standoff in Congress because Democrats have demanded significant, serious reforms to the way ICE does business. They have not, as political opponents would like to surely claim, they have not said, we need to abolish ICE. That's not what congressional Democrats are saying. They're simply saying, let's stop the worst of this untrained, heavily armed paramilitary goon squad that inflicts terror and death on American citizens and on immigrants. Let's rein them in. Let's stop this. I hope people will bear in mind that story that you just told and recognize that, yes, you actually, if you want to stop the government from doing terrible things in your name, because we are a democracy nominally still, and these people do represent us, the government does work for us, we shouldn't be afraid of them. Government should be afraid of their people.